I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please welcome Broward Sheriff's Office Associate Chaplain Darren Bennett, who will sing the national anthem and provide our invocation.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bomb bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free? Good afternoon to our honored guests, all the dignitaries, to the command staff of the Sheriff's Office, my home team, to everyone else in attendance in your respective places. We honor you and we're grateful for you to be here. If you're in this building, if you're in one of these seats, it's likely because God has anointed and appointed you into leadership. Allow me to commend this to you before I stop and pray. Leaders know the way, they go the way, and they show the way. As you continue to traverse on the journey up the ladder of leadership, do not step on any toes or heads as you make your way up that ladder, but see to it that you bring as many with you as you navigate up that ladder of leadership. And toward that end, let us pray. Gracious Heavenly Holy Father, we thank you so much for this momentous occasion. We ask now that you would extend your blessings upon each one of these amazing men and women in leadership as they continue to navigate their journey uniquely. You have created each one of them with their own thumbprint. There's no one standing beside them or behind them that can do what they do. You have created them to do exactly what you have called each one of them to do. And we're grateful for the giftings that fill this room. We're grateful for the leadership that fills this room. We're grateful for the courage that fills this room. And so we ask now that as we kick off this amazing event, that you would deposit your kindness, your compassion, your love upon each one of them. Guide, guard, and govern their steps, Lord, that they may do justly, walk humbly, and love mercy. It is in your most precious, mighty, matchless, and magnanimous name we pray. And those that believe in the words of prayer say, amen and amen. God bless you and thank you.
Thank you, Chaplain. Please be seated, ladies and gentlemen. Today, we continue the tradition of setting a table in honor of those who could not be with us. The table of remembrance, to my left, your right. The black tablecloth is for remembrance. We will never forget those who have died in the line of duty and are no longer with us. The red rose is a symbol of courage and respect for their chosen profession. The inverted wine glass is for those who will not toast with us this evening. The salt is for the tears that we shed. The lemon and sugar acknowledge the bittersweet sacrifices they made for their communities and our country. May we always remember their sacrifice, and may we always pay tribute to their memory in the way that we perform our duties. To my right is the sheriff's saddle. It's a plain saddle, not covered in fancy silver conchos or a lot of tooling. This is a practical, tough, working saddle. The saddle sits empty of a rider, representing that the office of sheriff will have many occupants over time. You will notice that the stirrups in the saddle are adjustable, representing its need for adaptability to the persons who will occupy the saddle over time. Attached along the right side is a scabbard and rifle representing the dangers that a sheriff will face while in office. He must be prepared to bravely face those dangers. Attached to the back of the saddle are leather saddlebags. In the right saddlebag, you will find an ammunition pouch. That pouch carries an extra box of ammunition for the sheriff's rifle. This represents the dedication and endurance a sheriff must demonstrate as he must be prepared for a long, tough fight. Also in the right saddlebag is a Bible. The Bible represents the sheriff's commitment to a cause greater than himself. It represents honor, integrity, and eternal thoughts. In the left saddlebag, protected in a leather pouch, are copies of the United States Constitution. The sheriff must keep his solemn word to uphold and defend this sacred document. Sitting next to the saddle is the sheriff's hat. Throughout his work, the sheriff must protect his vision. He must be able to see his way clearly, and his hat protects him from the sun, the wind, and the rain. Hanging off the saddle horn is a bridle and a set of spurs. The bridle and reins represent the sheriff's responsibility for directing his agency. The sheriff also uses the spurs to signal the need to move forward or to pick up the pace. And a touch of the reins slows things down. Over time, a wise and practiced sheriff learns to give subtle cues by simply shifting his weight in the saddle, and finds that he only needs a light touch of the rein and spurs. The sheriff also carries a supply of hardtack in the saddlebags and a canteen of water slung around the saddle horn. The sheriff needs these things to maintain his strength. Tied behind his saddle is a bedroll. The bedroll represents the many long and cold nights that the sheriff will spend away from home. This story of the sheriff's saddle was written by retired Sheriff Justin Smith from Larimer County, Colorado. It's my great honor today to announce to you that retired Sheriff Smith is now the heir apparent to the Executive Director position of the National Sheriff's Association. We are announcing it this week. Justin is with us here today, and at the end of the year, he will take his place as the new Executive Director as Jonathan retires. So a round of applause, please. Please welcome to the stage our official annual conference sponsor from Verizon, Corey Davis.
Good afternoon, everybody. I can tell you I'm excited to be here. This is one of our favorite events that we are so privileged and honored to sponsor, the National Sheriff's Association. Verizon Frontline has been supporting mission-critical communications for more than 30 years. We provide priority preemption on an award-winning network, and we also provide reliability and resiliency that is unmatched. So being here with all you all, we truly understand what your mission entails, and truly our mission is your purpose. Something that I'm also very proud of is our crisis response team. Our Verizon Frontline Crisis Response Team has been shoulder to shoulder with many counties, many sheriff's departments through some of, our country's darkest days. You think about, some of the hurricanes that came through last year, wildfires, civil unrest, you name it. Our team has been there side by side with the national sheriffs across the country. So we are very honored to support that mission. And another mission that we're very proud and honored to support is the NSA Ignite program. I can tell you, being a founding sponsor and supporter, we have seen great success across 28 jails that is truly bringing life back to the community. And I would recommend if you are if you are not running an Ignite program today in your jail, talk to one of your peers, because they are truly seeing evolutionary changes inside their correction facilities. And really, to close it out, I just want to thank everybody. Thank you for your service. Thank you for all you do each and every day. We know it's not easy out there, and so our job is to make it easy and make it so you don't have to think about your communications. You just know that it's on, it's reliable, and it's going to be there when you need it. I'd also ask, go out and take a look at our booth. We're going to be on display some of our new innovations that we're showcasing today. One of those is our network slicing solution. So this is definitely revolutionary, something that is giving first responders, sheriff's departments, dedicated capacity on our network with tailored performance. So again, we are truly setting aside a part of our network that's truly just dedicated for the first responders. You'll also see some of our deployable assets that we proudly deployed over 500 times last year alone. So thank you again, stay safe, and have a great NSA.
Thank you, Corey. Thank you, Verizon team. Thank you. I see you there. Please welcome to the stage now our host for the week from the Broward Sheriff's Office, Sheriff Dr. Gregory Toney, and joining him today, our General Session sponsors, Safer Watch CEO Gina Ro. Please welcome.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the 6,000 members of our organization and the 2 million people that we represent here in Broward County, I want to welcome the National Sheriff's Association to our county for this summer session. We're delighted to have you all here, and I'm most certainly excited to see my other fellow sheriffs here. When I was talking to my staff members about the opening remarks component for this ceremony, many of the sheriffs will probably understand this. They put together a few words and a couple bullet points of which they thought will be key areas for me to talk and address this community. Some of the things that were highlighted was the importance of what we are doing as law enforcement practitioners in the realm of mental health and substance abuse and all the different dynamics that we deal with almost anywhere in this country. It doesn't matter what part of the state you're in or part of or state or county. And I didn't want to get into that, folks. I think this is something more significant in terms of what's happening in this country right now, the threats that we're dealing with abroad, and everything else. And this is an important message. I know we have roughly 2,000 people here, but I'm talking to my sheriffs. I'm talking to my fellow constitutional officers that represent their respective communities. And what I want to leave with you is a remembrance. I was happy to see that Sheriff Donahue opened up going through the historical aspect about what it means to be a sheriff. And I was doing some research last night when I was thinking about what type of sentiments would I want to leave with the men and women who are serving their communities and taking on the same tasks that I have. And I found it interesting that if you look at how our country has been structured and the significance behind a multitude of different federal, state, and local offices, that are designed to safeguard our nation and secure our Constitution. The presidency is an office that's been around since 1787. That means for 236 years, our nation has had a president. Our Department of Justice, one of our core partners, was established on July 1st of 1870, providing them 155 years of history of service for our nation. The FBI, and Director Patel would appreciate this one, July 26, 1908, providing them 117 years of history and service to this country. The interesting thing about what we do as Sheriff's Office is we go beyond the histories of our own nation. And for many of you who are not aware of this, I'm not just talking about our vacation or vacating from England and the sheriffs that served in, but the importance behind one of the most critical documents that have provided the background and foundation for who we are as a nation. I'm talking about one document in particular, the Magna Carta, established back in 615 of 1215, folks. That's 810 years. The Magna Carta was a key document which established our Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence. And that document, for many of you who probably don't know this, consisted of 63 different clauses in the Magna Carta. Now, here's the important part of this. 27 of those clauses were written by 14 sheriffs back in 1215. So we are not just the protectors of the Constitution, folks. My colleagues, the men and women who have taken this oath to serve as sheriffs for this nation, we helped design it. So we're not just the protectors and the enforcement components that were also lumped into or identified amongst this nation. We have a deep and rich history of serving this country. And regardless of where you're from, regardless of what letter that may fall behind or before your name, Republican, Democrat, Independent, it doesn't matter. This profession requires us to remain apolitical, and that we will serve our communities, we will protect the Constitution and its integrity despite our differences. I represent a community where almost 60% of the population are minorities. But I represent them just the same way that you would represent your communities if 99% of them were white, or if 99% of them were black, or if 99% of them was Hispanic. It doesn't matter, folks. We've gotten to a point in our nation where we forgot in some areas about the fabric of who we are. We're pulling at each other. We're tearing each other apart. Our communities are divided. We have the media constantly perpetrating and participating in this. We have our elected officials who have gotten to the point where professional decorum doesn't even matter anymore, whether it be in the Senate or the House. And I recently just made this statement, and it is us. It is the men and women in uniform that have to deal with the consequences of the political nature of what we're dealing with. It is our men and women that will stand in front of our own citizens enforcing the law, but each and every one of us who've served this profession and did some time on the street know that even the good civilians sometime will bear the negative impact of a few people who are disturbing these peaceful assemblies. But we enforce. And so my message is clearly a reminder about who we are and where we come from. And I'm not talking about your personal stories. I'm not talking about your neighborhoods and your community. I'm going right back to 1215, when a few men understood that in order to have a prosperous society where people can have freedom of speech, where people can have freedom of religion, where people can peacefully assemble and speak against their digressions that they may have against government, stay intact. That was us. That's our ancestors in terms of this profession. So take a lot of pride in your organizations. Take pride in that your people in your communities. I don't care if you have 2 deputies or 6,000. Your community put you in that role to represent them. I've been in my 20th year now in law enforcement. And I've never had anyone dial 911 and say, send me a 5'11" black Democrat because my house is being broken into. The people don't care. The only thing that your community is expecting out of you is that the people that you're sending better be qualified, morally, ethically sound to do the job, and they damn sure better be on time. If you can find another one to add, sheriffs, let me know. I'll put it in my portfolio. This is very serious about what we do. And something tells me, despite no matter what may happen 150 years from now, if this whole society and structure fails, it will be sheriffs that will continue to maintain and hold the line in this country. We have an 800-plus year track record. And so I would close with this. Remember, we are not just the protectors of the United States Constitution, and we are not just the preservers of peace, and we are not just chief law enforcement administrators in our communities. We are like our ancestral predecessors, folks. We are here to defend all Western democracy because it started here. Now, our nation is once again facing different trials and tribulations and potential conflicts over in Iran right now. And every single one of us who suits up in this uniform must prepare and be ready to take that fight right here in country. Whether it be a lone wolf, a sleeper cell, or an organized attack, it is us that must hold this line. Our military arms is outstanding from all service branches. And they've taken the exact same oath that we've taken to fight all enemies, both foreign and domestic. Now, if they're going to fight that battle overseas and put themselves in harm's way, then we damn sure better make sure that our soldiers, Marines, Air Force, and everyone else that's serving, that we don't disappoint them by allowing politics to impact our service. So let's continue to hold this country together, men, women. It's on us. No one else. We are the chief law enforcement officers. We have the greatest level of power and authorities in our communities, and they don't get to see the president every day. They don't get to see your governor every day, but they most certainly see you. You are the voice of the people. You're the voice of your communities, and I'm proud to be a sheriff in the United States. Damn proud. So throughout the next several days, as you enjoy yourself here and you get a chance to congregate and share different insights and perspective amongst each other and share ideas of what works and what doesn't work in your communities, don't ever forget, it doesn't matter. All the things that divide us and make us unique as a people are exactly the same things that brought this nation together. So thank you all for allowing me to welcome you here. Enjoy your time. Our next speaker is one of our partners that we've worked with through Safer Watch, President Gina Ro, who's going to come through and also have some remarks. But thank you, folks. Love you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Gina Ro. I'm the CEO of Safer Watch. First of all, welcome to South Florida. We're very glad to have you here. This is our home state. So Safer Watch, just to give you a little quick background on our company. We actually started right here in Broward County after the Pulse nightclub shooting that happened. Me and my co-founder, Shannon Donahue, we created the company to create a difference. Then a little fast forward, Parkland happened right here in our backyard. Go to the next slide here. And we were able to, fast forward 7 years, our company, our technology is now helping to protect over 2,300 public and private schools here in the state of Florida, as well as our software is in over 110 law enforcement agencies here in the state. So we really help to bridge the gap between those emergency communications between schools, citizens, and law enforcement. Next slide, please. Like I said, our headquarters is right here in Fort Lauderdale, right off 95. Anyone ever wants to have a tour of our headquarters or operations center, we're happy to host you. Next, please. We also developed a real-time 24/7 operations center where we take in tips and panic alarms and alerts and help to supplement our customers. Next. As the sheriff mentioned, we're very close partners here in Broward County. You know, we're not just selling services and products. We partner with our customers, and we partner with law enforcement throughout the country. Right now we're in 31 states and continuing to grow, so we look forward to partnering with you as well. Next slide. There's really two main products I wanted to kind of highlight. We do a lot of different things, but this is our LTE panic buttons. There's a lot of different use cases for these. They're small, they're mobile, they work on Verizon network. But the nice thing about this is you can give these individuals that can't necessarily, you could give a radio to, but the way it works is you press the panic button, you instantly have a GPS location of where that person is, and the unique part is it has a two-way communication, so you can actually hear back and forth, and they work throughout the country. Next slide. I think what's relevant, you know, what we've seen a lot of counties and sheriffs use this for is helping to protect elected officials, especially given the times right now. Judges, it's been great for them to have on their desk, and then they go to lunch, they'll take it with them. So it's a nice tool to give as a protective device. I think everyone kind of knows America's nanny, if you will, Fran Dresser. We have a lot of celebrity customers, athletes, and business executives that we help to protect too. Next. And lastly, we wanted to highlight our newest technologies around drone detection and drone mitigation. I think it's very clear that we continue to have more and more threats around drones, and what are we going to do to both detect those drones and then eventually be able to mitigate them once the laws are passed for local law enforcement agencies. Can you go to the next slide? So we're actually hosting a live demonstration of this technology actually on the rooftop. The time's wrong on here, but it's Wednesday at 1:45. We're going to be doing a live demonstration. We have drones that are going to be launching throughout the county, and we're going to have our technology actually detect the drones as they're being launched, and then potentially even be able to take over those drones and then land them safely. So this is something that you can see be using prisons, high areas with a lot of people, urban areas. So come by our booth, check it out, and again, thank you guys for everything you do. We really appreciate it, and we're proud to be partnered with you, and we're proud to sponsor this event. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Please join us in honoring the NSA Board of Directors. The NSA Past Presidents with us today, from Lafourche Parish, Louisiana, Sheriff Craig Weber. From Story County, Iowa, Sheriff Paul Fitzgerald. From Hughes County, South Dakota, retired Sheriff Michael Lightholt. From Jefferson County, Kentucky, Sheriff John Aubrey. From Laramie County, Wyoming, retired Sheriff Danny Glick. From Dane County, Wisconsin, retired Sheriff David Mahoney. The NSA Board of Directors. From Fayette County, Pennsylvania, Sheriff James Custer. From Logan County, Oklahoma, Sheriff Damon Devereaux. From Summit County, Ohio, Sheriff Candy Fothery. From Bonneville County, Idaho, Sheriff Sam Hulse. From Cumberland County, Maine, Sheriff Kevin Joyce. From Richland County, South Carolina, Sheriff Leon Lott. From Mecklenburg County, North Carolina, Sheriff Gary McFadden. From Minnehaha County, South Dakota, Sheriff Mike Milstead. From the city of Newport News, Virginia, Sheriff Gabe Morgan. From Yavapai County, Arizona, Sheriff David Rhodes. From Polk County, Iowa, Sheriff Kevin Schneider. From Russell County, Alabama, Sheriff Heath Taylor. From Hardin County, Kentucky, Sheriff John Ward. Members of the NSA Executive Committee, NSA Past President from 21 to 22, from Fayette County, Ohio, Sheriff Vernon Stanforth. NSA Past President from 2016 to 17, and again in 2023 to 24, Executive Committee member and the immediate Past President from St. Charles Parish, Louisiana, Sheriff Greg Champagne. From Walton County, Florida, Sheriff Michael Atkinson, Jr. From Idrell County, North Carolina, Sheriff Darren Campbell. From Franklin County, Tennessee, Sheriff Tim Fuller. From Waukesha County, Wisconsin, Sheriff Eric Severson. From Yuma County, Arizona, Sheriff Leon Wilmot. Interim Sergeant at Arms from Wood County, Ohio, Sheriff Mark Vasilishin. Treasurer from Loudoun County, Virginia, Sheriff Michael Chapman. NSA Secretary from Ocean City, New Jersey, Virginia, Sheriff Mike Masternardi. Third Vice President from McKinney County, Sheriff Jim Skinner. NSA Second Vice President from Moody County, South Dakota, Sheriff Troy Wellman. NSA First Vice President from Canadian County, Sheriff Oklahoma, Canadian County, Oklahoma, Sheriff Chris West. Please welcome back to the stage NSA President, Canyon County, Idaho, Sheriff Kieran Donahue. Joining him on the stage today are U.S. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche and FBI Director Kash Patel.
Well, thank you, gentlemen, for coming. We appreciate it. Director, good to see you as always.
Too, sir.
I know you've got a busy schedule, both of you, and we've got a lot going on in the world, it turns out.
Both wearing great socks. Look at that.
Yeah, look at
Not
that.
even planned.
Look at that.
Not even planned.
And notice the purple, just so you all can see the purple. There's purple shirts, purple ties. It's Purple Day. So thank you for supporting us.
Of course.
Appreciate that. Obviously, a few days ago, President Trump authorized a limited but high-impact military operation. We're all aware of that, against the Iranian Revolutionary Guard and those targets. Obviously, it focuses a lot of things in the nation for you all, more than us, but we're all in this together, and obviously centered on those weapons and facilities. This action pretty much underscores the evolving nature that we and you, of course, in high-level government are faced with to address for our nation. Director Patel, given the hybrid nature of these threats that we see up through a few days ago, and we'll see to continue, how is the FBI, in your opinion, adapting its coordination, your coordination with local law enforcement, like the sheriffs, throughout the country and the jurisdictions, and to disrupt that, and what can we do to assist in that?
Well, first of all, thanks, as always, for having us. It's the local law enforcement that really feeds the protection of the community in this country. It's been what I've been saying since before I was ever in this job. And I've learned a couple of things. One, you need a great command and control operations center at the Department of Justice. And with Todd as our Deputy Attorney General, who we report to every day, it's been a fantastic relationship. He recognizes the importance of local law enforcement, and in times like this, he's empowered the FBI, along with our Attorney General, to go out there and say, We got to protect the homeland. We will do it at the federal level, but in order to accomplish that mission, we must partner with state and local level law enforcement, tribal community law enforcement. And that's what we've done. We've quietly pushed that out. And not to take away from the other priorities of the administration, they're equally as important, getting rid of criminals in our communities, illegals in our communities. But right now, the focus, given the nature, especially what just happened, has to be on protecting the homeland and protecting our communities, especially since the prior administration allowed so many thousands of known or suspected terrorists into this country and didn't account for them. And we now have prioritized looking for them. So we have a great partnership at DOJ, and we're thankful to have the DAG helping us lead that mission.
Yes, sir. Well, General Blanche, what, based on that, and of course it is a all of government approach and all of law enforcement, right? With us, with you, and so on and so forth, and General Bondi, what can you add to that? What the director just spoke to?
So look, thank you very much for letting us be here today. We appreciate it. I echo the director's appreciation for that. The other thing that we have and that you all have that is unusual, certainly in as far back as I can remember, is an attorney general who was her entire career a state prosecutor and then a state attorney general. So between what Director Patel just talked about and an attorney general who has her entire life spent working at the state and local level, we do have a great partnership, and we do think every day about how we can be better at communicating and getting information from not only at the federal level, from FBI to DHS to our intelligence community, from our intelligence community, but also to sheriffs and state and locals, because that's the only way it'll work. And it's not. I mean, I know everybody will laugh at this, but it's not perfect. The feds are not perfect. We're not. There's a lot of things that we need to do better, but it does help when you have Director Patel and myself talking multiple times 7 days a week, the Attorney General and myself talking multiple times 7 days a week, and then also constant communication with state and local leaders, sheriffs, district attorneys, states attorney generals. That's the only way it can work, and that's what we try to do every day.
Thank you, Deputy General. You mentioned too about the people that were let into this country, that we know where some are, you know where some are. We're trying to remove those people from that threat from our country. And one of the things that President Trump did was, at all of our requests, and we're all in favor of, is designate the cartels as international terrorist organizations, because that threat too is coupled with a nexus of whether we're talking China, whether we're talking Iran, etc. And so with this threat picture, right? I think and it's obvious to us, and we've met several times, and we're very thankful that you have really reached out and involved the sheriffs of this nation, and you in your office, Todd, have done the same thing with Pam Bondi. And so as we move forward with these threats, and again with the cartels, I want to emphasize how important it is, that local law enforcement, because we are your eyes and ears out there. We're that force multiplier. But having that, how can we, the problem is so large, it's easy to say, let's try to fix that. But in reality, what can we do to fix part of it stage by stage, step by step, sir?
At the macro level, when you step back at it, you have a very unique relationship, and I want to highlight this. Normally, you have a DOJ and FBI that work together because they have to work together. We actually like each other, and it sounds silly, but literally, we've known each other for decades. And we have a relationship where if you in rural town America need something, I'll call the DAG's office and he'll get it done. Or if he's like, hey, did you see this threat reporting, we may need to cover down, can you send some agents out in the field, and we'll do the same thing. So on a macro level, you should be assured that not only do you have that relationship at headquarters, but what you also have is prosecutors willing to enforce the administration's agenda on foreign terrorist organizations. It's meaningless if they designate them an FTO and we don't do anything with them. But that should empower you all to go into your communities and arrest these criminals and arrest these narco traffickers and charge them and have the basis that you need and the support that you need to go out there and charge them, because we have a Deputy Attorney General, an AG, and a DOJ who are more than willing, who are just great partners in achieving the indictments that normally we would not be able to achieve. And so at the town level, my ask is the same thing that I asked folks in D.C. You got to let us know what you need and what's going on. There is no better ground level intelligence than cops. None. Zero. And when you partner with local level federal prosecutors and state prosecutors, that is the core mission to achieve securing our community. And if you do it town by town by town by town, then it replicates, and then it has an effect that is cascading onto the rest of the country, because you see us doing the thing we need to do most, protecting our children. And that's what it comes down to. But I think you all should be really honored to have the jobs that you have, and I know you are. But I think you should know that in Washington, we're listening to you, and we need to hear from you more. But you should trust that the relationship that we have is probably once in a lifetime between FBI and DOJ right now.
Well, and Todd, yeah, thank you. And Todd, with that, I mean, information is key, and information sharing is key. Obviously, we're sharing that information with the director and his team throughout the nation, but it's also imperative when we bring those cases, or when cases are happening across this country that your office is going to be prosecuting. Could you maybe speak about that, the information and that highway of information, how it comes in, how it goes out? What do you need? Again, what do you need from us? Because we want to make sure we're getting you what you need to assist us in removing these individuals from our streets.
So it's what we spend a lot of my time talking about at the Department of Justice, is how to get the right information from you guys, and then how to then get it back out to the people that matter. Listen, the cartels that are in, the Mexican cartels, the South American cartels, they are terrorists. And it's a change in verbiage and form to not just be talking about Al-Qaeda, but to be talking about these men, mostly men, some women, who are leading these organizations whose full-time job is to inject poison into your sons, your daughters, the people in our community that are otherwise vulnerable. And so the fact that President Trump designated these organizations as terrorists shouldn't surprise anybody. But it is surprising to people, because for the past 25 years, when we think terrorism, we think Al-Qaeda, we think 9/11, we think, somewhere far, far away in Afghanistan, people that are living in caves. And they are terrorists. But there are terrorists just south of the border as well. And so when we think about how we can communicate together effectively, that's my message. That's the message that we tell our prosecutors every day. That's the message that the Attorney General tells everybody she speaks to every day about our mission. And so the feds are a piss-poor choice for a lot of drug cases. The state and what you guys do at the state level is much better. There are other cases where we are a really, really, really good alternative to what the state can do. And so the important thing in coordination and working together, and I know this is something that a lot of people talk about, but we're going to do it. And that's to make sure that we're working with state and locals and prosecutors. And it's true, we've unleashed our assistant U.S. attorneys around this country to focus almost exclusively, not exclusively, but to spend a lot of their energy and time on immigration-related offenses for the reasons that the director talked about a minute ago, because we have to get these folks out of the country that should not be here, and on violent crime and combating drug offenses. And that's something that there can't be a sheriff, whether you're a Republican, whether you're a Democrat. If you are a sheriff, if you are a Fed, you cannot be upset about that agenda. You cannot be upset about an agenda that says we need drug dealers to stop their peddling. We need to stop drugs coming in from the border, fentanyl coming in from everywhere. China, not only directly from China, but China ships it to South America. China ships it to Canada. It's going from Europe to the United States. And so this is the war that we're fighting, and that's what we are hoping that all of you can help us win over the next several years.
Just one thing on information sharing, just so you guys understand our battle rhythm, and I'm sure most of you know it already, but nearly every morning, the deputy director and myself go across the street to the Department of Justice to meet with the AG, the DAG, and their leadership team. And we brief them on your information, on your cases. So I want you guys to know that the work you're doing is literally being talked about every single day. And the best work that you're doing, and I'm biased from my background, is the task force work that we do. But I just want to let you know that they're listening to it, they're hearing it, and they're responding to it. And so it's critically important that that continues.
Well, that's a great segue, because what I want to talk about next is the task forces. Because as we all know, these men and women make up the majority of the task forces in this country, right? The state and local folks. And we've been working very closely from NSA with Stephen Miller, Tony Salisbury, and others, because what we've had come up, and I know you're all aware of it, is this document of of the new HS task force. Now, we've had some angst against that, and we've been vocal. We were in Washington, D.C. a couple of weeks ago, meeting at the White House. I think we're going back next week as well. And our concern, just so everyone's clear, is that the task forces, you specifically in the FBI has been doing this for a long time with task forces. You know what to do. A lot of us have been on those FBI task forces. And what we don't want to see is that unraveled, because we've talked very openly to Stephen Miller about this, the Deputy Chief of Staff, so it's not nothing, this is all open information. What we want to know, kind of from your folks, I mean, I don't want to put you on the spot either in that, or get us into a fight, but what we believe is we have to have input, and we've been given, the President's been very kind, and Stephen Miller as well, spoke with General Bondi about this. We need to keep in place these task forces like the FBI and the people, the men and women that are supplying that manpower. If we hand it off to somebody who doesn't know what to do, how to do criminal investigations like the way you do or the way we do, that's going to hurt your office as well, because we're not going to get those prosecutorial cases. So, again, maybe neither of you want to talk about that, but if you don't mind, I think it would put some minds at ease out here what we're dealing with.
It's okay. Who's worked on a task force? Right? I mean, this is what you guys do. This is what we do. And having a new task force, in my opinion, is only because you guys have been so effective at every task force that's ever been created. Whether it's HIDA, whether it's JTTF, whether it's trafficking task force, whatever it is, whatever agency, department, bureau, division it is. And this administration is correct on focusing and addressing the illegal invasion of our country, which is the root cause of so much of our criminality, our national security risk, and what we're talking about today. And so I think that while I understand, first of all, the FBI's task forces aren't going anywhere. We know that. The Department of Justice knows that. They support us in that. But what Stephen Miller and the President and the administration are trying to do is replicate that task force model, because we need your expertise. There is no other way. There is no other way to go out there and apprehend every single illegal alien and violent criminal. We have to have a method to do so. And we were forced into this situation by the prior administration's complete malfeasance in protecting our nations. So we are asking you to adjust with us while we do this mission set. I know we're adding more in your rucksack, and that's a lot to ask of you when we already ask everything of you. But there literally is no one else left to ask. And there's no one else that I would trust to ask to do that mission. And if we didn't think you guys could do it, or we didn't think our folks could do it, we wouldn't take it on. It's more work for everybody, and there are frustrations with it, trust me, I get it. But we need you guys all in on it, otherwise it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
go ahead.
and just to show how much we need you guys, when your leadership reached out to the White House a couple weeks ago, it took about 27 seconds for me to get a phone call myself about it. So we're not supposed to be, we don't, I hope nobody that's working with me claims to be perfect or have all the answers. And so there were some communication challenges that I think they were on us, not on your leadership and not on the state and locals, that we're addressing now. But at the end of the day, what the director just said is right. We cannot be successful without you all. No task forces. I mean, when I was a prosecutor, I used to make fun of the task forces because it was basically just a way for the feds to get good cases from the state, because that's the way we get our best cases. And so there's no task force that exists without sheriffs and state and local partners working with us. But we bring a lot to the table too. I mean, the FBI, they bring everything to the table, from intelligence and the expertise that they bring. So I'm not saying we're showing up empty-handed. But we're not coming with our sharp elbows, into your city and telling you to get out of the way. We're asking you to move in with us again. And so that shouldn't be lost on anybody, and it's not lost on us in D.C. either.
Well, you have our commitment. You know me, and you know that I am, and I'll be passing the reins on here in a few days, but I'm going to stay involved at the request of the incoming president. You have our commitment. We're going to keep seating at that table. We're going to work out whatever we need to work out, because we have to remain the point of the spear. So I do want you to have that assurance. I'm glad we were able to talk a little bit about it, because it is on our minds. And I know that communication, that can get bad at times. Well, we address it.
The communications key is, as the DAG said, is the cornerstone of it. And when you and I first met, when I was, I guess, auditioning for this job, I promised you that if I got in the seat, state cops, sheriffs would have a seat at the table. Yep. And I think you guys have now seen that you have multiple seats at the table at FBI HQ. We've created a council that reports directly to the FBI Director's Office of state and local law enforcement officers. And right now we're calling the community through the NSA and other organizations to fill those seats. But I also told you we would put 3 to 4 law enforcement officers in Washington, D.C., and now we figured out a way, thanks to our great team, that the FBI is largely going to pay for it too. So we need your assistance in identifying those folks, and I think that's going to help communication, because we're going to have sheriffs, we're going to have Indian country representatives, we're going to have all sorts of law enforcement in D.C. sitting there to work on this communication so we can get it to the department, because the department has all the components of law enforcement. The FBI is just one. Yeah. But our job is to get them the comms, and that we need from you.
Well, yeah. Well, and I'll commend you too, because the other thing you told me and told us on that first meeting was, I'm going to put some people out in the field, and you damn sure done that. You put some people in the field. We appreciate you. Deputy General, obviously China is an ever-present looming danger. I was just speaking to part of your team before you arrived today about the vapes and the tobacco and the marketing to children, especially young girls, and the chemicals and tobacco in these things, and then also the screens that they got to plug into and then say, here, give me your information, so they're data mining. That's just one small aspect of what we're facing out there. We know China is such an alarming threat, and as the director has said, they had years to infiltrate people and get them in place. What if from the department, DOJ, in terms of your office, Attorney General's office, what's your thoughts on that? How do we approach, again, as a nation, and with help, how do we approach this continuous building threat from China?
Yeah, it's the biggest issue in my mind when it comes to keeping our communities safe, which is the fentanyl crisis. I mean, I think at the end of the day, there's still problems in lots of other spaces, cocaine, meth. But at the end of the day, because of the way that the fentanyl trade is running and working right now, it is a problem that is extraordinarily complicated, and a lot of reasons go into that. The precursors change regularly. So the second that we identify a precursor that's killing people in our communities, they adjust it and find another one. The way that it's shipped, like I said a few minutes ago, it's extraordinary when you think about the way they're getting into this country. It's going directly into some of our ports in Savannah, Houston. It's also going to Guatemala. It's going way down south. It's going to Canada. So stopping it from getting into this country, I mean, closing the borders was a really big first step. But we have a lot of exports and imports, and there's a lot of opportunity to get those precursors into this country. And so I wish I could say I have an answer and we're going to win it and I'll get back to you by Christmas, but I don't. I mean, I think what we're doing right now, we're pouring resources, we're pouring intelligence, we're pouring law enforcement, complete focus and attention on not just going after the dealers at the street level, which is important, but going after others as well, and all the way up and all the way into China. So it's something that should keep all of us awake at night, because it's not something that's getting fixed right away. It's a problem that we have to deal with.
Well, that's excellent. I'm really glad to hear you say that. Obviously, the threats are many, but just like the Deputy General said here, we have the southern border. the Trump administration, you all, we all, they've all, the Customs Border Protection, our colleagues in green have done a hell of a job down there. And, of course, the president putting in troops to assist in that. But we have the northern border, too, you know, and it's twice as long. It's nearly 6,000 miles up there. And there's a lot of folks, and a lot of sheriffs in this room who deal with the waterways in the Northeast, in the Northeast region. And of course, here we are in the Southeast region, too. So we're really glad to see as much activity from the Coast Guard and so on and so forth. But this northern border and the infiltration of our sovereign lands, of our Indian reservations and those things, we're very aware of that, and we're hopeful that in the package, in the bill that the President has, that Congress is bringing, that the money is going to be there to assist getting more resources up on that northern border, because I think it's we all know that that is an Achilles heel. That we're just shifting that pressure somewhere else. And so I think that's something that perhaps, I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, sir?
Well, the CCP is the adversary of our time, and anyone that says otherwise is being selfish or lying to you or looking for financial gain. And, you know, that's a different calculation for those in Wall Street, but that's not my calculation, and I don't really care about it. But they are smart. They are partnering up with the Mexican drug cartels, with the Russians, with every adversary we have, and saying, look, we don't really like each other, but we just hate America. So why don't we team up? And you know what they did? They went to the north. And as we were discussing, while we've done such a great job through your work in this administration on the southern border, the northern border is too vast for the federal government to cover down on. It's impossible. We need you. You're the northern front. And just to put a statistic out there, last year there was like 330 known or suspected terrorists that crossed into the United States of America that we know about. Almost 300 of them entered through the northern border. That should tell you everything you need to know about who's using the northern border for what. Not just terrorism. Now they're moving the drug trafficking trade up there, and they're moving the fentanyl distribution up there. And whether or not they're putting it down into America, that's a different question. The fact that they're doing it and allowing themselves to partner with our adversaries just to come after Americans should hopefully highlight to the communities how much we need you on the northern border. I do hope this package has funding for it, but I'm just telling you right now, the USG from D.C. cannot solve the northern border, and many Americans are not attuned to what is going on up there, and so part of our job is delivering that message. But the bigger ask is relying on you and your teams to help us cover down on that tract of territory.
Agreed. And, you know, part of that is, and, you know, there's two things. Part of that, to be able to do that, is information sharing, right? That information sharing is critical to what you do, critical to what we do. And I think there's some work to be done with that, right? Through the DOJ, through us. And I think we're getting closer to that. Obviously, all of our meetings back in Washington, I think we're getting closer to that. But I think that's something we, as an organization, as a national sheriffs, and of course our colleagues, the major county sheriffs, major city chiefs, we've got to find a way to bridge that information sharing gap of data, information on individuals in our jails, where they're at, you know, those types of things, whether it's ATF, DEA, you know, you name the acronym, that information, we have to find a way to share that, because sometimes in the past, not saying right now, but information goes in, but nothing comes back our way. So I would just ask that we kind of monitor that, especially in your position. You have a lot more, in reality, ability to kind of make sure we're getting that back. But I think it's helpful because of what you're doing right at headquarters, where you're putting people there from the sheriffs, from law enforcement. I think that's going to help tremendously.
Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest component of sharing information is if you don't know that people downrange aren't getting it, then you don't know that there's a problem. And if you don't know who's not getting what, then you don't know what to send out. So that's part of the initiative that we have and we're pretty much done. I think you're helping us fill out some of those last remaining applicant slots, and we should have that stood up here shortly. But while we're sharing information back out, and you definitely have our commitment to do that, to continue to do that, we need every single precinct and every single sheriff's office in this country reporting in, because our data is only as good as what comes in, and then we can share out what we have. So we're not at 100% when it comes to CJIS and biometrics and data you guys do to focus down on what the crime threat is and who needs resources and where these task forces go and where we stand up our next adventure to take on violent crime. So that's my ask of you, but we will continue to share.
I appreciate that. And, you know, we'll wrap this up here. I know we have a tight schedule. We have a nice presentation here right after this we want to get to. Thank you both for being involved in that before we bring those people out. I think, Todd, you said something very important, and it's something that when I took the reins here a year ago as the president, obviously we're in the chairs for a while, but I speak all over the country on the cartels, and I travel and I educate sheriffs and sheriff's officers about the you know, because we spend a lot of time, I spend a lot of time on the borders, both north and south. And the one resounding thing, and you brought it up, we're at war. We're at war with these people. It doesn't matter if China is the label or Hamas or the Mexican cartels. They were now terrorist organizations. They're labeled as terrorist organizations. And I think but part of the problem in America is that they don't realize we're at war, right? I mean, we do because we're at the front lines every day. But let's end, if we can, just a few thoughts on how we get that messaging out. Other than a prosecution, it's great. We get a few headlines on that day, but then people go back to their ordinary lives, and they're not seeing, unless they've been victims of the fentanyl trade, killing my family included, right? Losing members to the fentanyl. Then it doesn't really get through that first level. So maybe we close it with just a few comments on that, if you don't mind.
Yeah, look, I think that it's a great question, and why isn't everybody in this country as angry and frustrated and heartbroken and motivated to change the fentanyl and the meth crisis in this country? Like, what is the messaging that needs to be better? You're right. Arresting a local dealer and putting him in prison, whether it's federal or state prison, makes a statement at a very small micro level. But at the macro level, you know, what are we doing? What can we do better? And from where I sit at the Department of Justice, what my their help need is just constant encouragement and support from the Department of Justice, that we will not stand in your way. We're not, I mean, the last administration put incredible restrictions on prosecutors on when they could charge certain statutes for drug crimes. We removed that. So that doesn't mean that alone is gonna fix it. But working with state and local, working with communities on the addiction issues and addiction problems in our prison systems, spending more money. Our budget this year for the Federal Bureau of Prisons, we increased it dramatically, because that's another place that that's another place that there's a major shortfall in my view in what we're doing to make sure that folks that are in prison because of an addiction get the help that they need. So I think that it takes all of us being motivated every day to know that it is the biggest crisis, certainly of my generation, that doesn't have an easy fix. I mean, we go back to cocaine, but cocaine didn't infiltrate our communities, state and local, our rural areas, the way that the meth and the fentanyl epidemic has done. And it scares me that there isn't complete and total outrage from the very top to the very bottom about it, but you're getting outrage from me, and you're going to get outrage from the Department of Justice for the next 4 years at least, and I know you get the same thing from the FBI and from every federal law enforcement agency. So,
well stated, sir.
Yeah, just real quick on that, I echo everything that the DAG said, and you know, I think I'll leave you with this. This year, thanks to your work, we are on track to have the lowest murder rate ever. That's good cops being cops. But it was a big process to get there, not just cracking down on murderers, but highlighting that it was a national security crisis. And that took years to educate the American public that it was such a big problem. Fentanyl is no different, in my opinion. We have to go out there and message to our local communities. I talk about it in every single scenario I'm in and get an opportunity to discuss it. Besides China, I talk about fentanyl and drug trafficking and sex trafficking. And these crimes are all also happening on our Indian country. And we have got to help the folks out there. There is no distinction for us at FBI or DOJ on where the crime is committed. But if we can get some of these atrocities that are happening, not just in rural America, but in Indian country and in urban America, that's a key component to help us solving and putting front and center the crisis that is fentanyl. You've got the team in place. We have you there. I think we can get there, but it will take some time, but we will need you.
Thank you. Well, gentlemen, we are out of time on this part. Please give a round of applause for the Director of the FBI and Deputy Attorney General Blanche. We're just going to step right over here. If you guys just want to stay right here for just a moment, I'm going to call this family up. So today, we are truly honored to welcome a remarkable young man to the National Sheriff Association annual conference. I'll get his name wrong. I practiced with Dad in the back, but I'll probably get it wrong. So I'm going to say DJ Daniel, a 13-year-old from Houston, Texas, whose courage and determination have inspired law enforcement agencies across the country. DJ has been fighting brain and spinal cancer for 6 years. When he was first diagnosed, doctors gave him just 5 months to live. But DJ defied those odds. He never gave up on his dream to become a law enforcement officer. He now has access to experimental drugs through the Right to Try Act, and he's the same kid we all saw on TV at the State of the Union address, standing strong in his uniform and showing the nation what courage looks like. That dream led DJ and his father on a mission across the country, visiting agencies far and wide, and along the way, DJ has been sworn in as an honorary law enforcement officer by more than 1,400 agencies. His original goal was 1,000, but as DJ himself says, after I reach 1,000, I'm just going to keep going. Like I always say, I'm going to keep on going until my gas tank runs out. If you get cancer, don't give up on life. All you got to do is pray, believe in God, and just keep that negative energy out of your mind. End of quote. DJ, will you and your father join us, Theodis, on stage here, please? Going to step down here, but before we do so, let's see. Today we're proud to help you fill that gas tank that you spoke of so eloquently by swearing in with the sheriff's offices. You remind us what service, strength, and spirit truly look like. And sheriffs, DJ, we're going to walk down those stairs. We're going to come over here, and there's about 200 sheriffs. They're going to swear you in at one time as an official deputy of their agencies, me included. So we're going to walk down these stairs. If you'll follow me.
Total of 1,421.
Okay. Is that for here, Joe? We've got a special place right over here. DJ, if you'll stand right there where that X is. Dad, if you'll stand on that green one. Actually, on the yellow one, I apologize. Todd, if you'll stand here. Director right there, thank you. And I think the number is now, what's the number, Joe? There's about 200 of these sheriffs here that are swearing you in, but the total number who have signed in, who couldn't be here, 1,421. So that doubles what you've already got done so far after today. 1,421, yes. That's amazing, isn't it? So we've got the Deputy Attorney General here with the Bible. If you'll place your right hand on the Bible, thank you. And Dad, if you'll put your hand on the shoulder of the Deputy Attorney General, if you'll repeat after me. This is we're going to swear you into an oath as an official deputy, a special deputy with all of our sheriff's offices. So I'll say I, say your name. So I, your name. Do solemnly swear.
Do solemnly swear.
To serve my community.
To serve my community.
With honor.
With honor.
And courage.
And courage.
To protect the innocent.
To protect the innocent.
And stand up
And
stand up
and stand up
for what is right.
for what is right.
And to always
And to always
do my best.
and always do my best
With kindness in my heart.
with kindness in my heart.
And that I
And that I
will support
will support
the Constitution
the Constitution
of the United States.
of the United States,
The Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of all these sheriff's offices
of all these sheriff's offices
that are represented.
that are represented.
And that I will faithfully
And that I will faithfully
serve
serve
as a special deputy. As a special deputy,
as a special deputy.
so help me God.
So help me God. I hope I'm going to give you a big fat hug.
You are sworn in. Congratulations.
Oh, that was one thing that I was going to say, but I'm going to use the microphone to say this.
Okay?
I forgot to say this.
Go ahead.
If you got a bald head, I'm going to have to rub it.
Well, that's fair, I guess.
Here you go, right here. I got one.
Yeah, right. Well, thank you for being here today and allowing us to swear you in, and thank you for joining our forces and our team. We need you out there.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Here's one.
This thing is huge.
It is huge. It's bigger than the sheriff's. Thank you, Director, for doing this. Appreciate it. Deputy Attorney, yes. Thank you. Yes, so if you'll go with me,
Yes, sir.
I need you to come over, and you and I are going to sign the certificate that you are now a special deputy with that many sheriff's offices. If
Yes,
you'll
sir.
stand up on that little podium,
Yes, sir.
and it looks like yours is right here.
Yes, sir.
So I'll let you go first. Oh, you got your own pen. Of course, any good cop would have his own pen. Any good deputy. I do too. Oh, come on in a little closer. Okay, you've got yours. I'll put my signature here as well, as the sheriff and president of the National Sheriff's Association.
Yes, sir.
All right, if you want to hold that up for the cameras, there you go. Perfect.
Sheriff, I got a question. Can I say one more thing?
Yes, sir. You certainly may.
I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my dad signing me up for this medicine. So, can you do me a favor? Can you get a round of applause for my daddy? Because he is a good man.
Well, I agree with you. I think he's a wonderful dad and a wonderful man. So, sir, if you want to say a few words, I'm going to hold this out for you.
Well, I'll tell you what, I didn't know y'all was going to do 1,400, so I kind of blew up. Yeah, so you got me on that one. You know I'm going to get you back. But this is why we do this. I ain't going to lie to you, for having the doctor tell you you have 5 months to live, you just don't know what to do or say. 'Cause I come from a generation of the men. So this is something Daddy can't fix. So I sat there and I had to talk with myself. Of course, I didn't answer back, but I talked to myself. And I said, well, what can we do about this? Doctor came in next morning and said, we got the experimental medicine. We don't know anything about it. He has an incurable disease, but the cancer responds under the microscope. And I said, well, if you can give me 15 more minutes and something's better than nothing, I'll take it. So we ran with it, and so far he's been here over 6 years. He does have the last thing that the doctor said that he had 3 new tumors, so that's what we've been running with. But he just had a super deep MRI, two back-to-back, and we get the results here on the 22nd. So I talked to Brett Powell, President Trump, and I said, I will send you the results and the CAT scan so you can put it out there. Because I don't want no more misconceptions on the internet where they're putting out fake news.
Agreed.
But we wouldn't be here if it weren't for 3 officers during Hurricane Harvey when we lost our house, and we were staying in George R. Brown, and they called us refugees at the time. We slept on the concrete floors. But much to my surprise, I didn't know that the officers was getting pizzas upstairs. Okay, so we had we had MREs. So 3 officers got, DeVarge and his 2 brothers came to me. I thought they were in trouble, and they said, well, you know, we want to take them upstairs just out of this nightmare for a little bit. And we're going to give them pizza. I said, no, don't play with me about no pizza. I said, I'll lick the oil off that paper. So we go upstairs, and pig is pork and grits is grocery. There was a curled up vegetable pizza up there. I wouldn't eat on another day. But that was the best pizza I ever had.
I'll bet.
And I got to see all the officers up there sleeping on the floor along the walls, sleeping on cases of water, you know, and they were suffering with the rest of us. But just in that moment in time where we needed something, because we were all going through emotional and mental trauma, these 3 officers, though they were going through the same thing that we were all enduring and going through during the time of Hurricane Harvey, they still had that little gesture of kindness. And that little bit is the everlasting impression that he left on DeVarge and us. And being that I'm a veteran, I still continue service. It doesn't end until I take my last breath.
Thank you for your service,
Yes,
by
sir.
the way. We appreciate you.
And we thank you for all your service.
Yes,
'Cause
sir.
a lot of these people don't appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
They don't know what they're talking about. So I guess what I'm from Texas, and nothing, you know, they say everything bigger in Texas. Well, my mouth is too. We definitely appreciate you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Can we go off script? Can we go off script?
We're way off script. so go
We're way
ahead.
off.
Yeah.
Would it be okay if the sheriffs pray for DJ?
Yes, sir.
And pray for you? Everybody move in. Let's get as close as we can. Director, Attorney General, come on in. Let's pray for DJ. All right, let's go to our Heavenly Father. Lord, we just thank you so much for DJ and his father, Lord, and we just pray for this father as he works to protect and love his son and what this young man has meant to law enforcement from across the country. Thank you, Lord, for him blessing us and giving us the opportunity to bless him in turn, Lord. So we just pray that you'll go with him and his father as they go forward, Lord, and let them just be a light in a dark world and just be with him and bless him, Lord. And we would pray for complete and total healing, Lord. And we just thank you so much. Be with the sheriffs of the country, be with the FBI director and the attorney general, be with our nation, Lord. Be with those that are serving in harm's way right now in these uncertain times. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen. Okay. All right, well, we have to get the director out of here. He's got things he's got to get to and meetings, so thank you for doing this. Thank you for coming here, and this is for you. You're going to take this with you.
Sheriff, I think
Yes.
you left something out. These bald heads ain't gonna leave, I'm gonna tell you that. Well, you might want to tell them they're gonna have to make a line, though.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Hold up.
We have a great week planned. After this session, we have our Taste of Florida welcome reception in the exhibit hall. Be sure you hit each of the different pubs throughout the show floor. This year, we have 546